Hello and welcome to Gishi Gaming Reviews, where each game is thoroughly and meticulously reviewed using the 100-point scoring system that I've developed. For a brief video explaining how my 100-point scoring system works, you can check out the link in the description below. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Mobius Machine, a 2D run-and-gun metroidvania from indie developer Madruga Works. Let's be honest, there are a multitude of alien worlds out there to explore if you're a gamer, and with each passing year, the standard for new games seems to get higher and higher. The Mobius Machine, with its relatively straightforward plot about an astronaut stranded on a hostile planet, unfortunately doesn't do itself any favors when presenting players with a bland and uneventful storyline devoid of any sort of plot action. The Mobius Machine does, however, offer up an extremely large and diverse map full of beautifully rendered 3D backgrounds full of alien landscapes and abandoned buildings. It immerses you in a world full of mysteries and unanswered questions, and at the end leaves you with about as little information as you started with. Personally, one of my favorite parts of exploration in this type of game is piecing together all of the little individual tidbits of information that, when put together, form a cohesive storyline. The Mobius Machine has none of this. No computer terminals to read, no journals to collect, not even a single NPC to converse with. Just a lonely, cute little spaceman desperately trying to escape an abandoned, hostile world overrun with robots and alien fauna that looks like something out of a Lovecraftian nightmare. And while there is some level of appeal in exploring this desolate place, the complete lack of any sort of backstory or reasonable explanation for the abandonment of this planet is a massive letdown. The massive alien world of the Mobius Machine is divided into 7 sectors, with the entrance to Sector 7 being accessible very early in the game, but locked behind 6 gates that can be unlocked by accessing their corresponding computer terminals in Sectors 1 through 6. The path to these terminals typically ends with a boss fight and the acquisition of a new movement-based ability that allows you to access new areas and progress further in the game. Because there are no NPCs or shops, all upgrades are done at the workshop, which is located in Sector 1, but also happens to have a secret network of tunnels that provide shortcuts back to it from various other sectors. Weapon and ability upgrades require 3 blueprint fragments each, as well as a gradually increasing number of components in order to use. There are a total of 5 different projectile types that can be accessed through upgrades, each of which can also be upgraded itself up to 5 times by acquiring the corresponding blueprints. This upgrade system can be frustrating at times, because there are probably 9 or 10 different things that can be upgraded, and you need to collect 3 specific blueprints in order to initiate the corresponding upgrade. It can be a long time before you are actually able to make any upgrades. Because of the way the blueprints are spread throughout the map, it's also likely that you won't have access to all 5 weapons until close to the end of the game. Fortunately, because there is such an abundance of hidden components chests, you should never have an issue with not having enough components to complete an upgrade after acquiring its 3 blueprints. Many of the movement-based abilities in the Mobius Machine are atypical of what you will normally find in a Metroidvania, but are necessary to allow for exploration of such an open and expansive map. For example, instead of a double jump and air dash, you can launch yourself off of ladders with a rocket boost and parachute glide to safety in faraway locations. The overall ease and tightness of the controls makes exploration and platforming fun and exciting. Even the underwater exploration and combat segments are tight and smooth thanks to certain abilities that can be acquired. A healing ability as well as a high-powered attack are also available anytime but deplete energy when used. The combat controls are smooth and easy to use, with primary and secondary weapons set to be used anytime on different buttons. Primary is always going to be your rapid fire, while secondary is one of the other 4 projectile types, which can be quickly and easily cycled through. And while there are a limited number of weapons available, it is still a diverse enough range to handle any enemies the game may throw your way. The only real issue I had with the controls was the fact that there is no way to adjust the camera view, forcing you to sometimes have to take a leap of faith with no idea what's below you. The enemy design in the Mobius Machine has its pros and cons. There are a good variety of different enemies, with each individual map area containing its own unique encounters. However, many of these enemies are either a stronger version of a previous enemy, or have another enemy that is basically their twin. Allow me to explain. The enemies in the Mobius Machine basically consist of two types: hostile local fauna and robots. For almost every biological enemy in the game, there exists a robot counterpart that is basically a reskinned version of the same enemy with similar, sometimes even identical attack patterns. Here are a couple examples of this little trick. It creates the illusion that there are many different enemies when in reality they are just reskinned versions of the same 15 to 20 enemies you see repeated throughout the game. The boss fights, on the other hand, are well designed and feel like they're at just the right level difficulty-wise. They typically have high HP and multiple phases. Unfortunately, boss encounters in the Mobius Machine are in short supply. There are no optional bosses, which is honestly surprising considering the massive size of the map, and one of the map areas doesn't actually have its own boss, bringing the grand total number of bosses in this game to 6. In terms of artistic style, the Mobius Machine features some absolutely gorgeous 3D rendered backdrops full of strange alien landscapes, abandoned settlements, and crashed spaceships set on a 2D plane with some ambient synthy background music that really helps to create a sense of loneliness and desolation as you explore this deserted planet. Many of the map areas are large, open, and need to be explored by parachute, which further accentuates the absolutely massive scale of these backdrops, which are covered with monolithic, abandoned structures. Many of the indoor areas, however, tend to consist of boring, cookie-cutter type patterns in stark contrast to the incredibly detailed world outside of them. And the music, although fitting for the game, tends to sound very similar from location to location and does tend to get a little stale by the end of the game. It also doesn't help that there is only one boss fight track which is used in every boss fight. This tends to add to the overall repetitiveness of the game. The level design in the Mobius Machine is probably its biggest downfall. The map, as I've been saying, is an absolutely massive interconnected labyrinth, but the rewards for exploring it are not consistent in scale. The typical rewards for discovering a hidden or hard-to-reach area are extra components and, if you're lucky, a blueprint. There is no lore to uncover, no characters to converse with, no secret bosses to fight, no side quests, and no secret endings. It's just you, a deserted planet, and a small number of upgrades that can be acquired to help you reach the finish line. And while the exploration itself can be fun and engaging at times, the rewards for continuing to explore such a large map are not consistent enough to justify continuing to explore outside of what is necessary to complete the game. Because there is no additional content outside of the main quest to find the source of the distress signal, there is really no reason to continue exploring after you've defeated the final boss. However, due to the interconnected nature of the map and a handful of achievements involving speedrunning and alternate difficulty settings, there is a decent level of incentive for multiple playthroughs. So, taking all things into consideration, the overall score for the Mobius Machine is gonna look like this. The Mobius Machine is yet another example of an overly ambitious indie project that, while competent, fails to truly stand out amongst other games of its genre. And while its fun and exciting exploration and combat coupled with smooth and responsive controls are certainly enough to warrant a playthrough, it is ultimately held back by its lack of story, repetitive music and enemies, and a gigantic map with very little to do other than explore. I gave the Mobius Machine a final score of 6.9 and a difficulty rating of 6 out of 10. Hey, thank you guys so much for checking out my review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the other videos in my channel. And if there's anything that you'd like to see me do, or any games you'd like to see me review, feel free to let me know in the comments, or get in touch with me through my Discord. The link is available in the description below. Until next time, this is Gishi, checking out.